It's been a long time coming, but the B-26 Marauder in 1/48 scale from ICM is finally here. Let's have a look inside the box and see whether the weight was worth it, indeed, whether the price tag is worth it. Right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today, indeed, I'm looking inside the box of the B-26 Marauder in 1/48 scale from ICM. Now, if you like the show, and I hope you do, please remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below because every like counts. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell as well, and you'll be notified of all my future content as it is published. And of course, if you want to make a more concrete contribution to the channel, you can do that through any of my online affiliate programs. Information about all of these is in the box below. Okay, let's make a start then and check out what you get inside the box of the ICM B-26 Marauder in 1/48 scale for your money. So here's the box of the B-26B Marauder in 1/48 scale, as it says here, from ICM. Product code is 48320. Lovely piece of box artwork it is. Been looking at this for a very long time because it's taken quite a time for this to come to market, but it is here at last. Okay, on the side here, this long side here, we have, I think, unassembled plastic kit, aimed at model makers of 14 years and upwards because there are some very small parts in here, and a bit of information about the kit and the aircraft itself. So this is a late modification of the B-26. It has lots of machine gun points, including the Martin 250 upper gun turret. 500-pound bombs included. There's 3 sets of decal markings here. The kit, when it's complete, will be 387 millimeters long. That's really very, very long. It will have a wingspan of 454 millimeters, so just shy of half a meter, 1.5 feet. And the kit includes 363 parts, not all of which you're going to use because, of course, some will be for things like undercarriage, if you're going to have the undercarriage up or down, bomb door bays open or closed, things like that, whether you're going to include the bombs even. There's a total of 363 parts from which you can make whatever version of this aircraft you choose. On the other long side here are the 3 schemes. There's the olive drab scheme and 2 bare metal schemes, all from the invasion of France. This one's when they're based actually just before D-Day. They did some raids on D-Day that I'll be highlighting when I have finished this kit. 1944, and then these are when they're based in France, autumn and December 44, supporting the frontline advances and so on and so forth. Yeah, it all looks very good. The end part, as usual with ICM, there's just a reprise of everything this way round in case the box is stacked on its edge on a shelf, or if it's stacked flat, then there's everything there in landscape format. Okay, let's have a look inside the box and see what you get for your money. Now, as normal with ICM kits, the first thing is to get the lid off. I'm sure there's a trick to this because the lid sort of comes up. Try and make a film of things. It's really awkward. There we go. Comes up. And there's a box inside, and that box has got a top folding lid, like so, and it reveals the contents. Cellophane packs of parts, there's 2 of them in here. We'll have a look at those in a bit more detail in just a moment. There is the instruction sheet. Now this instruction sheet, you pick it up and think, oh, that feels chunky, that feels quite firm, let's say. But inside, of course, you get your decal sheet. But what you also get is this, which is a fold-out calendar, wall calendar, featuring the box art. There we go. So there's a calendar bit at the bottom and the box art there. 2024 written on it. So that's all very nice. You can put that up on the wall if you so wish. And then, of course, the instruction sheet itself. There's always included a thing about ICM paints as well. I'll be using ICM paints on this kit largely. There's one or two things I won't be using them for, but most of them I'll be using the ICM kits. And for the first time I'll be using the ICM primer as well, but we'll come back to those in a bit. Let's have a look at the contents in a bit more detail. This is frame A, and obviously these are the two halves of the fuselage of the aircraft. You can get a real feel for how big this thing's going to be just from this. Frame B are upper and lower halves of wings, the engine nacelles. These are probably elevators, parts of the bomb bay. Or actually, no, these are going to be parts of the undercarriage bay, aren't they? The firewall and the bulkheads for the undercarriage. Frame C, again, wing halves. This is a rudder, parts of the interior, bulkheads and interior fin. This looks like, actually, no, those are elevators. That's the rudder. There you go. Floors for the cockpit area and things like that. This is frame D, and you get two identical frame D parts in this kit. What this is, obviously, are all the parts of the wing that are duplicated side to side. So engine parts, the engines themselves, propellers, the main wheels, and so on and so forth. You also get some guns and bombs, things like that, that you can build. Like you can put a few on here and then duplicate them, get all the ones you need for the whole aircraft. And frame E, you have the two main spar fixings at the two ends of the main bomb bay. You have a cover for the, I think that's part of the fuselage cover, that the top of the bomb bay there. You have the tailplane. Usefully, the tailplane is a single piece here, so the quite significant dihedral is set here. You don't have to try and do it yourself. Parts of flaps and things like that as well are included in here. Frame F, more bits and pieces, doorways, hatches, these are flaps. These are the interior parts on the undercarriage bay. There's the, somewhere around here, there's the instrument panel there, some guns, the undercarriage, main undercarriage assembly parts there, bomb racks on the inside here, the nose gear is here. So, almost all the other bits that you think, where are they? Well, they're all on here. And then finally on frame G, for the grey plastic at least, all the other tiny, teeny little bits and pieces, the sort of the operating system for the bomb bay doors, if you're going to have them open, all the sort of things, or racks and whatever. All the bits and pieces for the interior of the cockpit, some of the gun sights here, that's got bent slightly. Yeah, it's got bent slightly. We'll have to fix that. Yeah, all the little bits and pieces essentially are in here. Then frame H are all the transparent parts. Slight variations here. You won't need all of these parts obviously because there's only one type of nose for this type of aircraft. I believe there are two different types. There are options maybe on the windshields, I'm not sure. All of the gun turrets are here, windows and whatnot. The mouldings of this kit, it's a brand new tool, so as you imagine it should be, it's actually pretty sharp. The panel lines are not overly recessed, which is quite nice. I do wonder whether you would see more in the way of rivets on a thing like this, which I suspect you would. So maybe if you're going to be really sort of picky, you would say, well, I'd like some rivet markings on this as well, please. But otherwise, generally, the mouldings are lovely, very clean, very sharp. Yeah, there's a few bits that annoy me. Like here, you've got these three tiny little blobs, and they're on the other side, so they belong there. Don't know if they're supposed to be lights or areas, whatever. When you put these two halves together, unless you get that absolutely spot on first time, you're going to need to sand around those, and those are really, really tiny, not even like a millimetre tall. They could be extra bits, you know, three tiny little nubs of plastic maybe. or they be moulded across the seam on one side, moulded across the seam, so it sort of sits on top of the other half when they go together, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that, because I suspect a lot of the time those are going to go missing. Anyway, maybe that's a thing that judges at competitions will look at. Have they got those three little blobs on the back just in front of the tail? But I'm not entirely sure mine will by the time I've finished doing it. But then I'm not an expert modeler, as they're so keen to say. Yeah, I mean, they look lovely. The mouldings still look nice. The interior is moulded with detail as far as you're likely to actually see any detail. If you're not going to see any detail, they haven't bothered moulding it, which seems fair enough. They also haven't cleaned up some of the ejector pins. Some of them have. You're going to likely to be able to see the ejector pin, then it's cleaned up. If you're not likely to see it, it isn't, which is good. I mean, it's a sensible way of doing things, to be honest. But yeah, they're very functional, very clean, very nice, and they'll take some shading, some weathering quite well, so that if you are going to look inside, then you're going to be able to see it all, which is good. Also, like when we look at some of these really small pieces, they're moulded very nicely, very cleanly, very crisply. This is this gas bottle, gas jar thing here, very nicely, very cleanly done. All these very little bits are all, you know, beautiful. There's little shackle holes there in the eye there. That's all very clean and very obvious. Yeah, they're just very nicely made. But again, this is a new mold, remember. But even so, some people get a new mold, they can't make parts look right, and these do. These look so sharp. It's beautiful. Look at that. Tiny little triangular mounting block at the end there is rendered, and the pin that goes through it. Very nice. But then that's kind of what you expect at this scale, 1/48. That's part of the engine system there, I suspect. All very clean, all very nice. That sort of thing just picks up dry brushing really well, makes it look very authentic. And then onto the decal sheet, ICM's own decals, of course. First glance, the colour looks okay. I think the yellow maybe is a little undersaturated. I'm not entirely sure, but it just looks a little under to me. But once it's on the kit, then maybe it just looks right. Sometimes, you know, you look at decals and things on here and they just don't look right. You put them on the kit when they're in around another colour, and then they look absolutely spot on, because the colour we perceive is also governed by the colours around it. So my perception of this yellow, for example, may well be affected by the blue that's around here. So maybe I should get a grey background for colour judgment, sort of visual judging of colour like this. Anyway, to me they look pretty good. On the kit they'll probably look different, but they're sharp. The colours look convincing. And we'll have to have a closer look in to check out the actual sharpness and, of course, that all-important registration. Okay, we'll start off here with the instrument panel. This is our standard. Let me get the pencil out. There we go. Standard 0.5mm pencil. As you can see, they look okay. They'll look fine on the instrument panel. Yeah, the markings generally look pretty good. These ones in yellow, I'm going to guess those might be bomb markings. They're a bit difficult to judge because they're sort of palish yellow on a pale blue background. We'll see when they go onto the bombs how well that yellow shows through. On this Nose Art Lady's Delight, that all looks very good. The mission tally here looks nice and clean. All looks well registered as well, which is really cool. More bomb tallies here, and Captain Allen. Name, captain's name. This nose artwork, you might say, well, that looks a little sort of crude, a little bit basic, but you know what, they were on these planes because they didn't have that many brilliant figure artists on squadrons who painted these things. Some of them were a little bit how do they say it nicely in the art world? Naive, their construction of art. But do you know what? If it brought the crew's luck, who gives a whatever about how accurate and how perfect the artwork is? It looks good enough to me, and I'm sure it's a good rendition of what was on the actual aircraft. This other scheme, the hairy bird one, all very nice. Here we go. Here's the serial number data. That, again, looks really good. There's the context of a 0.5 mil. You know, US Air Force's serial number looks reasonably readable underneath. Most of it's actually not bad. I'm sure if I got out a loop or something, I could almost certainly read all of that, which is pretty good for me. And the nice thing is it's registered well. You'll see there you can catch the carrier film. So a lot of these parts are individual decals, and the carrier film on ICM decals is really thin, and the decals are really thin. So you do have to be really careful placing them. However, that means that they do sit down very nicely on the kit. So if you've got a nice gloss surface and you put these down with some proper decal solutions, they will look absolutely beautiful on there. And then you can sort of satin or dull them down to whatever you want. For the actual finished version, of course, I have some plans for mine, which we'll go into another day. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be decals for ID lights. If they are, we'll do them. If the ID light parts are clear and available, then we'll do those as transparent colors rather than using those. But otherwise, yeah, very happy with these. The instruction sheet, or booklet rather, is very much in the modern ICM style. So here we have a reprise of the box art. We have some information about the Marauder and some technical specs in English. We have it also in Ukrainian. We have colour callouts for all the paints. All of these relate to ICM's own colours. I'll be using ICM colours on this, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. There may be one or two others that I do, maybe the interior green. I don't think they do an accurate one in these colours yet, so I may use one or two things like that. But otherwise, I'll be using ICM. Of course, you can easily find translations of all these into other paint schemes as well. There's a translation of the icons used in English and Ukrainian. There's a little link here, which is to a video on YouTube, which is made by ICM using their CAD data. So made a 3D animation of the instructional steps. And that's really worth watching if you're going to make one of these, because there might be parts in the kit where you look at, well, how does that, I don't see where that actually goes, how, you know, what way round it goes. And watching that, you can see very clearly these things. That's an excellent addition by ICM. I wish a lot of other people would do that. Doesn't even put me out of the job, which is even better. On the inside, first of all, we have a frame map of all the frames supplied as usual. And then we go into the instructions themselves. There's some bits to be drilled out for various bits and pieces. There's some interior decals, so on and so forth. I mean, generally speaking, I found ICM instructions to be perfectly okay. There are going to be some times, however, let me look at something in particular. Sometimes, yeah, these things, bits of like the door opening, and it's not immediately clear from there how they all fit in. And then when you look at the next page, when it's actually completed, it's still not that clear. So that's when these 3D animations are really useful to help you figure out how things go and exactly where they go. That's very, very clear on the videos. Other than that, everything is relatively straightforward. Yeah, doesn't seem to be much. One thing I do like is that the majority of the undercarriage goes in quite late. Well, relatively late in the process. You could conceivably do most of the painting around there first, then put the undercarriage in, then you've just got the doors to worry about. So that would be useful. They have made some where you actually have the undercarriage, the complete undercarriage right from the word go, and that's a proper pain in the backside, I have to say. The nose wheel, yeah, again, nose wheel goes in quite late in the process. That's good as well. That's really handy. At the back here is a list of all the bits that you should have masked off, and there's templates for masking. I can't really use these. I don't know how to. I suspect if you've got a cry cut or a laser engraver, then you may be able to cut these for yourself. Either that, or you're going to have to wait for a commercially available masking set to come out, or just try it yourself, which is probably what I'll have to do. Then we have the schemes. This first one is the box art Ladies Delight, 584th Squadron of the 8th Air Force, England, summer 1944. I'm going to be doing my one as the 5th of June 1944, which you will see when it comes to be finished, what I mean by that. The second scheme is Coral Princess 3, which is an aircraft of the 494th Squadron in Pontoise in France in the autumn of 44. So they've got their forward operating bases going to keep up with the advance of the battlefield. So they've got short range, so maximum load, and high mission repeat times. Low mission repeat times, high mission repeat frequency, I should say. And finally, this very colourful big hairy bird of the 599th Bomb Squadron in Péronne in France in December 44. And they're going back to the old days of putting massively colourful things on the front, and still got the invasion stripes. On a lot of these aircraft by now, these upper stripes will have been painted out or disposed of, because they really were, they had such air superiority. It was more a case of the ground troops not shooting at you than other aircraft not shooting at you. You can see there's nothing on the top surface here. It's just on the bottom. So those are the three schemes. It's a very comprehensive looking kit. At the same time, ICM have released this. It's a pack of their own paints. And they're actually pretty good paints, I have to say. These are available separately. You don't get them included in the kit, but you can buy them as a set. Oh, of course, you can buy all the paints individually as well. So inside you get the camouflage green, you get olive green, black and white, you get aluminium, and you get some satin varnish as well. Now these paints, all of these work really well through an airbrush if you dilute them properly, or you can just brush paint them on as well. Not easily available in the UK, but I have thankfully been sent some to try, is the ICM's own primer. So I'll be priming this in ICM grey. I'll be painting it with the ICM colours, and then I'll be doing some other bits and pieces on it, and then finishing it with satin varnish from the set as well. There it is then. It looks amazing. I'm really excited to make it. It's going to be quite the challenge to put together. I mean, ICM don't make kits for beginners, as they're quite fond of saying, but they also try and make them buildable. And I think including links to online videos based on the CAD, where you can see which way around things go, is a stroke of genius. I wish more companies would invest in that way. That's a real highlight for me of their offering. I'll be building it very, very soon, which means the build video will be here very, very soon. How will you know when it's there? Best things to do, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll be notified when all my future content comes online. And of course, anything you see, please do remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below, because every like counts. Thank you so very much for watching. Hope to see you again on the channel soon. Take very good care of yourselves, and goodbye.